right. Good morning. Welcome to Pilates and Strength this Sunday morning. We'll continue this morning with some ski prep work, but whether you ski or not doesn't really matter. This is all going to be beneficial for your hips, for your big muscles in the back here. And we won't forget the upper body because we actually use quite a bit of upper body as well when we're either classic skiing or skate skiing. So I'm going to continue with that a little bit today. So if I mention it, you can let it go or bring it in and say, maybe I want to get out and use my skis. We could use a little more snow. It'd be nice to get another little covering here in the upper Wisconsin, but I think Madison got some nice snow recently. Hopefully it's stayed. Okay, so I just have my weights. I have a chair in case I need it for some balance things. Yeah, I think we're ready to go otherwise. So let's come down to hands and knees to start. We'll get some kind of beginning movement stuff in to wake our spine up, and then come back to the feet and our weights. So as you find yourself in hands and knees, just taking an assessment. A lot of times we'll start on the feet that way, and we'll take an inventory or on the back. So today you're on your hands and knees for that inventory. So noticing where that's difficult for you, where it seems like a lot of energy to hold the body, where maybe it feels supported in the body, and just try to relax the muscles that don't need to overwork. So if your muscles in the front of your legs are really tense, maybe let them go. The muscles that we do want to have working are the ones from between the shoulder blades along the spine up into the head, up into the base of the skull, so we can hold the head in that position that we'd like here. And give your elbows a little bit of bend and connect into your fingers. We've talked about taking that awareness to the fingers many times so that we have less resting into the wrists. Like as soon as you bring those fingers into awareness, do you notice that your wrists, even though our weight is still likely a lot there, it feels like it's just less concentrated there. So just letting the elbows have a little bit, just a micro bend, and then fingers connected. And then let's start to roll the spine into a rounded position, starting at your tail. So let your tail start to tuck and your belly button start to come up. And just feel that the spine is going to slowly through the sacrum there, start to round. And sometimes we just take everything all at once and we'll take the tail down and the head will automatically go down. I'm going to take that a little slower, see if I can make that just like my head be the last thing to go, continuing up the spine, rounding, pulling up, engaging the belly. And then when you're ready, when you get to it, let the head come down. And really keep pulling up with the belly. You want to get that stuff turned on a little bit. And then let your head come up a little bit. And we can just unravel a little bit quicker than we raveled, I guess. And come back to neutral. And if you'd like to, a little bit of that extension. So lengthen the back of the neck, the belly coming down but supported, the tail coming up a little bit the other direction for cow pose. And then start again the other way. You can go a little quicker now that you've gone through the one vertebra at a time or one section at a time, back to your cat pose. And then option here, either a downward dog or just resting back and giving your hands a nice flop around, or sometimes I'll flick the fingers from the fist position, just resting back in a child's pose. So either place is a good spot to be. And maybe you want to turn the head if you're in your downward dog, side to side. Let the back of the neck get nice and released in case there was any tension in there. Good. All right, we're going to take that another step here. back to our hands and knees. Make sure I have enough space here to extend my foot back behind me, just in case I want to do that. Good. Then we're going to roll into that position again, that nice cat position, really bringing the belly button up, feeling the contact of the hands. And then pressing back a little bit with the hands. Let's walk the hands back and come up on your fingertips and walk back some more. Keep that nice rounded position though. And then come all the way up on the knee. If you need to, give yourself a little more push under the knees. You can always double up your mat. Because we're going to do this a couple of times. And then let's roll back down, rolling down. The hips go back a little bit just so we can get our fingertips to the floor. And then they can walk out and the hips come back over the knees. And then go ahead and unravel yourself again. And if you want to, all the way to that cow position, arching the spine the other way a little bit, but support in the belly. Back to rolling up. We'll add a little bit more in the arms here, but let's just take the hips back onto the fingertips, walking back. This time, bring the arms up in front as you roll up, and then overhead. Nice and long with the spine, long with the back of the neck. And then arms come out to the side, and let's roll back down. Belly turned on, walk the hands out till they're in that position where they're going to land underneath the shoulders, unraveling. This time, as you unravel, let's take one foot back, extending that foot back, the toes turning under, and just really getting long through your knee and strong in your quadricep. For this time, just getting a stretch, and the knee comes back, and taking that other leg back, spreading the toes out, opening the back of the knee, and using your quadricep like you're going to come up onto this leg, right, where we would need that support. Just kind of getting ready. Knee comes back. Go ahead and roll up again. We're going to take the hands back on the fingertips. Take the arms up. If you want to, keep the chin just slightly tucked. And if you'd like to do a little back bend here, you're welcome to. And then arms out to the side, rolling down. Fingertips out. Extend one leg back, then the other leg back, plank position. Breath, breath. Remember, we had that connection into the hands. A lot of times our hands, we just kind of let them be not quite as active, and we feel a lot of pressure in the wrists. So let's take that into the fingers again, a little bit of bend in the elbows. 3, 2, 1. Nicely done. Knees come down, and we'll roll up again. Rolling, belly, fingertips help onto the knees, all the way up. Chin tucks a little bit, maybe a little back bend. That back bend comes from all the strength in the front of the body. Out to the side, rolling down. Taking the hands back down. Take your other foot back. Can you remember which foot you want to take back first? Take the other one back. So you alternate a little bit. And the other one back. Supporting the head. It wants to fall down. Make sure we're using this time for some postural support muscles, those back muscles, the muscles along the spine. 3. Pull the hips up, but not too far. Kind of maybe check in where you are. 3, 2, 1. Knees come down. Let's lower down to the belly. Good. How is everybody feeling so far? Feel like a nice wake up for the spine. The belly's a little bit awake. One way we can wake up the belly kind of without getting on the back. Let's take the arms out out in front. Let's continue with our posture a little bit here. Those postural support muscles. And just feeling, maybe you want to lift one leg and see that the legs are straight out from the body here for now. And then lift one of those legs up. Again, remember how straight our leg got when we squeezed the quadriceps and the knees were really straight? Let's try that again. And then lift the opposite arm. So right foot, left arm, or for me, but whichever one you're doing is fine. Let the head lift. If everything comes up a little bit, let it lift. With the chin tucked just a little bit and back down. Now, if you're one to take on instructions maybe too far, I'm not taking my chin all the way to my chest, just a little bit to make sure I have length in the back of the neck. Left foot reaches. Open the back of the knee, get really strong with your leg. We're kind of trying to turn everything on in the legs, right? Hand can come up, head can come up. The more you lift, got to be really strong so we could keep all of this work in the glutes and then the legs and not in the back. Come on down and let everything go. Nice deep breath. All right, I'm gonna come to hovering with the hands and hovering with the feet. And then we're gonna lift and back to where you're hovering. Lift and back to where we're hovering. Lift and back. Opposite arm and leg, lift and hover. Lift and hover. Lift and hover. Lift. Lift. Last two. Bring those hands in, rest your chest on them, and let the legs come down. You might even take the hips back and forth a little bit. Full breath out. All right, we've had the legs in parallel. I want you to turn your right leg, if you can, turn it out a little bit. So the knee turns out. It's going to turn out at the knee, but your hip joint, the femur will actually turn out here. It'll rotate a little bit. Now we've got kind of a stopper. The floor is here. You probably can only go so far. But we're just gonna go with that. We're gonna do a little lift here of the foot. So make sure we're not just lifting at the knee. I wanna lift the whole leg. But it doesn't have to be a very big lift with that turnout. 8, 7, 6. Lift the knee if you can. Remember how strong our legs have been, especially in the quads. Hips are down, right? Now bring that leg back to center and back to parallel. Let the knee go straight down to the floor. Okay, where did you feel that? Probably didn't feel it so much in your quadricep. Hopefully you were using it still. You probably felt it a little bit somewhere else. Let's try the other side. Hips are down, pelvic bowl is felt. And I'm going to turn out that left side or second side. And then I'm going to see about lifting on this side. Careful to not just lift the foot and leave the knee down. We're trying to get that whole leg to lift. 4 left. 3, 2, 1. Good. Turn that knee back in to parallel here. And then let's bring our hands near the body. Let your elbows come in here. Let them be close to the body. You're going to want to squeeze as though your elbows were attracted behind your ribs there. They're attracted to each other. Kind of squeeze so that the triceps are turned on. And then push yourself up. Pull the belly up, come up to your knees. And then round and let the low back enjoy that. In case you used a little bit of those muscles, use the front core here, right, to support that part of the body. That upper pelvic region, the low back. I'm seeing if I missed anything I wanted to do here. I think not. I think we can find our way up. So go ahead and bring your feet up, find your way up to a standing position or even a bent knee position, and you could roll from this position upward. All the way up to standing. Good. We'll check in our standing position, seeing how that postural work feels, the waking up of the spine, how that feels in the body. All right. So let's work with the feet just a little bit before we head into a little more strength work. Just because we're going to be needing to move our knees and move those joints, and maybe you've been out getting your walk in, even if it's at the mall. I did that last week. I don't do that very often, but it was really chilly. So I was lucky to get a couple miles in walking at the mall. Yesterday, did a lot of sitting. I was at a show choir competition. If you haven't been to one and you like music and dancing, it's pretty fun. We're just going to take those knees forward, shins forward, tracking the knees forward best you can. Notice how close together my feet are. They're not quite touching, but you might experiment. A lot of times I'll do those separate or my feet a little wider. And let's bring our hands to genie arms here. Pausing a little bit, a little tug in the front or back of your lower leg. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to wake things up a little. Good. Come down and pause here. Maybe just a little pulse. Good. 3, 2, 1, and coming back up. Bringing the hands back down. All right, let's wake up the front a little bit, just coming up onto the top of the foot a little, and then coming back down. So be gentle with your toes here. No, you don't want to hurt any of the toes, but let's give them a little bit of attention. And you could even bring that foot back like this if you wanted, or way back. And let's try that actually, now that we've done this a couple of times. Take it back behind you, a little bend. And this is nice. If you need a little support, go ahead and grab that chair. So back foot, top of the foot, spreading out, front leg, doing a little squat-like position. And bring that foot back. All right, let's try that with this side. Just give it a little bit of, how does it feel? Come back. Rolling over the toes. I don't think about my toes that much, do you? And then when I do something with them, it's like, wow, they really help us balance and keep everything healthy in the foot. So let's take that foot back and do what we did before with that other side. Little bend. Nice and strong and straight with your knee folding here. I'm just letting all of the surface, whatever surface of my back foot wants to be or can be in touch with floor back there. I'm just letting that happen. All right, and then coming back. Spreading the toes out, even in my socks. They're nice and spread out. I've got flexible socks on purpose. All right, I'm gonna grab my weights. You can have fairly heavy weights for these first things that we're doing. You might go back and forth a little bit because we're gonna be doing legs, arms, legs, arms, legs, arms. But for leg stuff, you likely can work with fairly decent weights because we're using ideally these big muscles in the body here. Okay, so we're going to take this first one, straight spine, a little bit of bend in the knee, but not as much as we might later on. So we're going to take this first one forward. Belly really works. Seat goes back. And you could take your weights to a chair seat. That works just fine as opposed to come up or go down to and then come up. Or you can see about taking these weights a little bit further down to stool height or even to the floor and coming back up. So the key here is that we get to use kind of this whole chain, back chain, and we're really using the front as well, right? We get to use so much of the body here, and we don't want to rely on any one spot. And if we could, maybe we'd rely a little bit more on this back part of our leg. So let's come forward. And as you come up, remember that squeeze we did in the front of the legs? It's hard to kind of bring that into the back of the legs, isn't it? But maybe if we just think about the front of the leg squeezing, we'll also get to the back. As you come up, really squeezing the legs. Can you feel the legs turn on there? As they go down, as we go down, we're lengthening those muscles. As we come up, and squeezing. And I'm not really letting go during any of it. I want that support. I'm just going to turn and show what I might do if I was going down a little less far. Continue here. We're going to do a couple more. Just kind of checking in. So I could go this far and find my way back up. Yeah. Down to chair height and back up. Or maybe you've got a stool that sits about halfway between the floor and sit in the seat of the chair and come back up. If we had a big long bar with weights on it, you might have seen people do that in the gym. They're going to bring it down and come up. Good. All right. You may, if you had really heavy weights, you might switch. We're going to do some bicep curls. Let's give our whole chain there a little break. And let's go ahead and come up and down with your weights. Good. These 12 of these. I'm slowing it down a little bit on my way down, hauling it up on my way up. If you have lighter weights or this is starting to get easy for you, you're going to maybe want to go a little slower. I know that's sometimes not what we want to hear, but squeeze. If you've got a lighter weight, squeeze as you come up and slowly let them down. Squeeze. And then get those heavier weights because really you'll start to see those results a little bit more. Yeah, if you can just add a pound or two at a time. So, okay. All right, let's see. I think I'm gonna put the weights down for just a moment. And then I'm gonna use my back of my chair. You may not need it at all, but I'm just gonna have it as an example. I'm gonna do a little bit of scraping the foot off and kicking back. Scraping the foot off. You got a lot of, it's not mud season yet, but let's pretend it is. And I could bend my knee, but let's keep our leg a little bit straighter. Letting the torso go with that a little bit. But I definitely want to feel the leg back here, getting that work. Kick. Belly's going to support. And a kick. And then let's try the other side. Kick. 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 Wiping the foot off. Scraping the mud off. Good. Now I've been kicking back in parallel, right? In line with my body, in line with that foot line there, trying to keep it nice and straight. Let's try the first side. And instead of kicking straight back like this, I'm going to do a little bit of kick like this. Kick out, kick out. So just take that to the side a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and use that. Use the back of the chair if you want, or you could have your weights here and you could be kicking back with holding your weights. Kick. A little bit out to the side. A little bit of balance. You get on those skis, it's balancing, isn't it? Especially in that skate skiing. So you'll see this will be a little bit reminiscent of that. Hand on the chair, out, out. If you ever rollerbladed or even roller skated, you would have pushed a little bit like this as well, or ice skated. All right, other side. I'm gonna push out, push out. It's funny to do it only on one side. Maybe we'll do it when we're one where we switch. Out, out, out. I'm getting a little bit of friction on the floor if I can, so I can push out against something. Push. If you've got a carpeted floor, that might work really nice. Because you get a little bit of slippery there, but just push down a little. How's your standing like? Challenging, right? To get kind of the rhythm, come on back to your feet. And that balance, all that stuff going. A little heart rate going, which is nice today. Okay, I kind of want to try what it'd be like to do one and then the other. So let's see if we can do it. I'm gonna go out to the side, out and back, out and back, out. And it's when you're skate skiing, ideally you have a little balance there. So it is sometimes this rhythm when you get really good at it in a really good snow. Push, and I'm not really good at it. Push, glide, push, glide, push, glide, push, out, push, out, push. Nice, push. How's that going? Good, push. Where are you feeling that? Hips getting a little workout? Yeah, mine too. Come on back. Okay, that's kind of fun. Let's go ahead and grab our weights and do some rows. If you have an elastic, you could use that as well. And then let's go ahead, little bend in the knees, that nice strong back we have here. Release your tail, so it's just dangling off here, the end of that nice strong spine, and then pulling up at the side body. Again, your heavier weights here, I could have a little heavier weight, but usually by the time I get to 10, 12, 15, these are making some dent. But this is like a bunch of upper back muscles and your triceps. So we get a lot of help for these rows. So your 5-pounders for most people are pretty light. So again, if that's what you're working with, you're gonna squeeze at the end here a little bit longer than I am. Let go, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Let's head for 6 more. All right. All right, feeling that okay? All right, we're gonna take that into splitting your stride a little bit. And again, that might challenge your balance. So if you need to use the chair or the wall. And we're gonna take that bent knee position here. And the same thing we did earlier, remember we went over the top. I'm gonna take that down a little here and back up. So it's kind of a really short lunge with this component of the upper back, or excuse me, the whole back, right, the whole body coming up at the top, the whole body, and squeezing up at the top. Squeeze from my low belly down my legs. I'm feeling that nice squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Standing up. Let's go ahead and do some W's. We'll come back to the other side. Don't let me forget. W's. These are ones where you might go down a little bit in your weight or go down in how many repetitions you do. So I'm probably going to head for 12 repetitions here, as these are fairly kind of medium weights here for me. I can do more than 6, but I can't probably do too many more than 12. That's going to be close. I didn't really keep track very well. I'm feeling a little cooked. Like, that's enough for that one with this amount of weight. All right, other side. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, kind of a short lunge position. And I'm bending the knees, heel can come off, and coming back up. Good. Six left. It's my favorite number today. Can you tell? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Come on back. And we're getting that heart rate up, whether we wanted to or not. These all body things tend to do that. Let's take it overhead. Let's keep that heart rate up just a little bit longer. Head for 12 or 15 of these, depending on the size of your weights again. All right, all the way down. Oh, doing a good job here, keeping our blood pressure, our heart rate up here, and things really pumping. All right, let's do one more here where we can add a little bit of arm work. I'm going to take a little bit longer stride. You can use your stability here if you'd like, or have your hand out toward the wall. Take a bigger step back. And when I do that, I usually start with my feet a little bit further apart and then just try to step back in line with that foot. Keep the heel up. And we'll invite a little bit of extension here in the front of the body, because sometimes we can get a little short in the skiing, and we actually need to be able to kick that leg back too. So let's go ahead and do some lunging. Torso is upright versus the other one where we were taking the torso over, right? Bending the knees. Good. And then take the feet back underneath you. Let's bring those hands together again. And we're going to take the weights out as you come down. We'll just do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Remember, the feet at least hip distance apart, maybe a little bit more. Take that other foot back. Find that heel back there if you can. It can be lifted. You're far enough back. You don't have to have the heel down back there. See, feel your ball of the foot, the toes, and then let's bend both knees. How many more? Let's see if we can do 3 to 5 more. All right. And stepping the feet back together. Good. Let's see if we can challenge a couple more of those just regular knees forward, shins forward squats. And bring those weights up to the shoulders here and come down. Bicep curls. Let's try them a little bit differently. Squat, curl, up. Squat, curl, up. Squat, curl, up. Good. 3, 2. Sit back a little bit. 1. All right. Standing we are. Nice work. I'm gonna put those weights down and get my chair out of the way here, or put it on the other side. So if I need the seat, I've got it. All right. Checking in. How's the body doing? Letting the breath do its thing. We were demanding of it, so we don't need to make the breath do a certain thing here. You can check into the body, the feet here. How's your posture? Is it something you have to fix? Just kind of notice if you're wanting to fix it, does it need fixing? Do the shoulders feel supported? Arms probably feel nice and alive. We're going to take that down to the floor here. I'm checking in on the back. We have a few more minutes to work with the body here. We'll take advantage of those minutes. But maybe just noticing before we start to move again, the weight of your body as you came down to the floor, the weight in the pelvis, the weight in the head. A couple weeks ago, we worked with a peaceful face idea. And we just really get carried away with our thoughts and, how to do the activity and what it's helping and all of those things. And maybe just letting some of that take a back seat. And then feeling your feet, bringing your awareness into the feet again. Bring your hands alongside the body. And then let's start at the tail again, just like we started our class, the tail coming in, tucking up, or it curls up in this position. We start to lift or start to feel that part of the lower part of the sacrum come off the mat. And as you do that, you might feel the low back come to the floor. So if you can pause during these sections, just the first time in coming into bridge position, so you can really feel, oh, there's the chunks of big vertebra in my low back, and they're supported by these big muscles that I'm strengthening, the psoas and the outer muscles. And now I'm going to start to try to lift them as well. So then more muscles in the closer to the spine, close to the sacrum, start to help gather up the low back. And then the low back, and we start to feel a little pushing down through the feet. So go ahead and go with that. And each part, just gonna feel the piece that's on the floor before it lifts. And if any of those feel particularly delicious, see if you can stay there. And I mean delicious, right? It feels nice to ground some of those parts of the spine, not if they're poking into the, if your floor is too hard or something, please make adjustments. But just feeling that landing of the spine before it lifts into your bridge. Chin toward the chest. As you come up, you can make a little adjustment there, lengthen the neck. In this position, we do kind of maybe feel like we're super tucked with the chin. That's okay. I'm not forcing anything, but just letting things get as long as they can without forcing. Coming up into a bridge position as high as you'd like to go. You start to get into extension in the front of the hips a little bit, and a lot of work with the hamstrings and glutes. If you'd like to use your hamstrings a little bit more, act as though you're going to pull your heels toward you, as though you were going to do that. 3, 2, 1. And let's slowly let the spine come down. 3, 2, 1. Rolling down is taking your time as much as you need to land the whole spine and pelvis down and release any of the leg muscles, glute muscles that you used. And just check out how you feel again. Now here. Good. All right, a little less slowly, but not with less attention. You see if you can keep your attention there just as much, but we'll go a little quicker, rolling, bringing the tail up and going through the sections of the body or sections of the spine to lift up into bridge again. That one we took a long time coming up. This one will come up and we'll find a place to stay, supporting in bridge position. And then if you'd like to add on, we're going to lift one heel up, activating the calf and that leg. See if you can keep your knee that high and reach your heel down toward the floor, landing that heel as your knee continues to be reaching upward. And then the other side, lift the heel, keep the knee up there in your mind's eye, and slowly lower that heel. Might get a little jumpy in there, that's okay. Pressing down now with both heels, and then lowering the spine. One section at a time, just noticing those pieces come to the floor. And let's stretch that one leg up toward the ceiling here. Take one leg up. Reach through the toe and heel. And then go ahead and take your hands to the back of that leg. You can have a lot more bend in your knee. And the other leg can stretch out as well. Now we haven't worked with mini crunch, so we're going to have to ask that mini crunch to come online as we lift our head, ribs pulled down and in. So find that mini crunch and then use your hands, elbows out, to help you back up into that just a little bit more. So we've got the belly working, we've got the arms assisting. What happens if you back off on your arms now a little bit? Can you continue to use enough of your belly, right? And then let's see about using this big lever or leg to bring a few more vertebrae off the mat. And then slowly, gradually finding your way back. So I didn't roll all the way up. At the end here, I'll offer that if you'd like to roll all the way up, you can. But I'm just going to work, I think, for myself today in the lifting my head, having the belly work, using my lever, and just kind of experimenting how much of the spine I can bring off without necessarily coming up over that pelvic ridge, holding here and coming back. I'm going to do that one more time. Your foot could be up. I'm going to try this next one with my foot just a little bit more down, maybe even with my knee versus upward. Mini crunch, arms help, leg pushes, and just coming up just before that pelvic ridge bump would require me to come over that. I'm going to stretch out the leg. Relax the face and jaw. And then bring the other leg upward. We did a little bit of work with the toe and heel again, toe, heel, ankle work. With your leg fairly straight, we'll get a little work into the whole fascia line here. In my movement classes, I'm working with fascia this month. And then I'll relax that leg a little more. Hands behind the leg, lift the head to look into the belly, mini crunch position, ribs pull down and in. And then I'm going to use my arms to find that really sweet spot, mini crunch. And then we're going to go past that and up, up, just to the top of the ridge, pelvic ridge back there. You'll feel it maybe low back. And then come back. So it's like half tree pose, I guess. And then let's try that again. And back. And then this one, I'll just have my foot down a little bit more. Coming up to that ridge. It's like your heel could reach. I know some of us have a hard time getting over this ridge for whatever reason. Maybe we've had some past surgeries and they can just kind of get in the way of some of that smooth transition up in the belly. Come on down with the leg. And let the forehead rest. Okay, let's bring the feet to the floor, bring the knees in. And I'm going to move my weights just out of the way here. Arms out in a T. And then let's just use the strength in the belly to let our legs go to the side. Let our legs go to the side. And if your floor is allowing it, maybe you're getting a little bit of upper pelvic to kind of side pelvis massage here. A little movement in a twisting position for the ribs, just a touch. And then we're going to let ourselves go all the way over to one side. So bring your arm up with that. Bring your bottom arm under your head or grab a pillow blanket. I don't have mine out, but grab yours if you'd like. It's just nicer to have the head supported. So you'll either have your hands together out here supporting your head, supporting with your head supported, or you'll have one hand supporting and the other hand out in front. Knees stacked up, and notice how I've brought them in at least 90 degrees. This would be 90, they're at least that, brought in toward me. And then take that top arm up and swivel your head to look up at it. And then just like I did in my in-person class here this week, lifting that arm up to as though you're going to lift the shoulder right off of the rib cage here. It's just going to really be upward here. And with an exhale, bring your attention now away from the shoulder into the center of your chest. And the center of your chest is going to open with that lifting arm, the center of the chest starting to swivel toward the ceiling. That arm is still going to be actively reaching. Not so much that I have like a strain in my hand, but I want to be pretty dynamic with my fingers and open with my palm as I take that shoulder out away from the body. Pausing when you hit resistance. So if there's a big sensation showing up, you want to back off, you want to stay there and breathe. I think this week or the next week we'll be working a little bit with arm lines. So we'll definitely be doing this one again in my online and in-person classes in the next couple of weeks, doing this pose and talking a little bit more about the arm line. And there's four, but we'll be choosing one probably to work with, and how they all connect around and support the shoulders. Yes, maybe we'll be doing that in March or April, just the arm lines themselves. Let's go to your other side and get this twist in on the other side. You can just roll to your other side. Drawing the knees up, supporting the head with that pillow or blanket. So as we get ready to do the second side, again, it's the sternum we want to spin open. And as we do that, a lot of times we'll compensate by dragging the hip and the knee back. So try to keep the hips and the knees stacked just like they are now. As you bring that hand up, look up at that hand, and then how we extended that arm upward. Get nice and long through the body there, like we're lifting the shoulder right out of its socket. You can't really do that here. We're not trying to do that. But it feels really expansive. And then the center of the chest opening toward the ceiling. I'm not attached to what my arm does. I just want to open the chest. And my arm, by being along for the ride, gets this wonderful opening. You might feel a little armpit pull there. That's kind of nice to have that. Again, just finding the place where it's resisting or stretching and calling it good there, but being active with your arm. Couple of breaths. Couple of breaths. Face and jaw at ease. Knees are stacked. You can kind of check on them. If they're like really lifting up a lot too, that means you've taken your hips and the legs along. See if you can pull back so that the hips and legs are grounded. And then we'll bring the hand back to the front. And just resting on your side here for a couple of breaths. And then taking another breath in and a breath out. Noticing your ribs, your legs in contact with the floor here, your head resting either on a blanket or pillow or your arm. And as you're ready, we'll slowly peel ourselves off the floor. See if you can do that in a real, maybe theatrical way almost, like you were in slow motion coming up to seated. And then as you come into seated, checking in your seated position with a breath in, a breath out. Nice. And that'll conclude our Pilates and strength for the day. It's really nice to be here with you and start the day. Please let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. I'm always open for emails. You can just email those to Pilates on Harrison. They'll get them to me. Questions in the chat are just fine too. I'll come in and check on the chat, but otherwise have a really wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll see you Tuesday. Take good care. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the notes.